Good morning, Melissa. How you going? Oh, let me turn my volume down so I can't hear myself. I do that every time. Why can I not remember to turn the sound off on myself? Hi, Karen. Hi, Xiomara. Nice to see you. Hey, Kathy. Hey, Trisha. Trisha and I have just been having a little chat about the discovery of the structure of DNA and how scientists aren't always nice people. Oh dear. If you've never seen the film, what was it again? Photo 51, is that right? Not the film, the play. Ugh. Yeah, Rosalind Franklin was robbed. Exactly. Hey Lenny, nice to see you here. Alright, so today, photograph 51, yeah. I've got this card that I made using some of the products from the most recent release from Picket Studios. And I thought I'll remake it, but then I saw a video that Daniel did on a different channel, and the colour scheme that he used, I thought, oh gee, that's a nice colour scheme, and so I thought I might try it. Hey Dawn, hey Essie. Great typo, Essie. Hey Keely. Now, I apologise, my hands are a little bit worse for wear at the moment because I spent both yesterday and this morning cleaning out our washing machine, which has a bit of lime scale and stuff happening. So, yeah, I took the skin off my knuckle and the tips of my fingers are very sore. So, we shall see how I go with card making today. So, what I'm going to use, I have... So what I used for this card was this Lilies picture frame and the coordinating die. I used the Slimline flowers and polka dot fun stencil because I wanted the big flowers. The smaller flowers are in the 6x6 stencil. And then I grabbed out the Fancy Friendship Sentiments stamp set and the matching dies for that. And I used the thank you for all the little things for that. So I'm going to pretty much remake this card. However, one thing to mention, I've just noticed because Karen's just put up the link to the Lilies picture frame, and you'll see in the picture it actually has 5 circle dies. I used one of them, I actually used 3 of them on another card, and one of them I dropped and it went fling across the room. And do you think I can find it? Has anybody else had that issue where you drop something and you know it should be right beneath your feet, but you cannot find it? And this was like 2 weeks ago that I did this. So there is actually meant to be another die in there. Yeah, but mine's missing. Gone walkabout. All right, so yes, I hate it when that happens too, Karen. Okay, so the colours that I actually used on this card, I'll just show you just in case you're interested. I actually used some, oops, my drawer doesn't want to come out. I used some Catherine Pooler inks on this one. In one of my favourite colour schemes of Catherine Pooler inks, I used It's a Girl, Coral Cabana and Bellini. I love, 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 love this colour scheme. Yeah, Sarah, I don't have a cat to find a die for me. I'm just hoping that the vacuum cleaner hasn't found it. I don't remember hearing a clatter clatter as a die went up the vacuum cleaner. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping it's just flung somewhere in the room and I just can't see it because I'm looking in the wrong spot. And seeing as it's a round one, it might have rolled. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not going to be using that colour scheme. And I also, by the way, used these little sequins which are Yellow and Orange Hearts and Flowers, which are from the January release as well. But I'm not going to use these colours, so sorry to disappoint you, Kathy. I'm not going to use these colours. The video that I saw Daniel do, he used some Hero Arts inks, and he used this colour scheme. And knowing my luck, if I do this blend, yes, Catherine Paula inks are lovely. So are the Hero Hues inks. But, of course, the Catherine Paula inks are dye inks, and the Hero Hues Reactive are more of a pigment ink. They're, I think, a hybrid ink. So, yeah, slightly different properties. So, I mean, this is going to be a bit of a suck it and see thing, because I don't know how they're going to work. I really like Catherine Paula inks when I want a really pale blend. Usually, I use Reactive inks when I'm going to be using a lot of the ink, so we will just have to see how we go. But what I thought I would actually do is I'm going to replace the Blue Raspberry with Splash to get, because I mean, I could do all four. I could do all four. Let's do all four. I don't have to replace it. I can just add something. Jeez. Alright, so what I'm going to do first is I am going to make the wreath. And now, yes, Trisha, I mean, me making a card without blue on it, I mean, what on earth is up with that? So notice that this die it's not open, it's not, doesn't like have an opening in the middle, so you can line it up after you've stamped, because of course it's cutting both around the edge and around the middle, so it's, yeah, a bit more difficult to make a die like that if you've got an opening in the middle so you can line it up. So what you've got to do is the die cutting first and then the stamping. Alright, so let me just run this through, and unlike my video that I did the other day, none of this is here's one I prepared earlier. I'm actually doing the whole thing right now. Okay. Alright. I might just cut this down. Keep that bit for later. Because I'm just going to see... I'm going to put this into my Mini Misty with the cardstock around it, because what you can usually do, let me just figure out, it's easy to line this up because I don't know how well you can see this. It's very hard to see on a clear stamp. There's a bit of the image that sticks out into the middle here, and you can see that really clearly on the die cut, so it's relatively easy. So what you can actually do to make it even easier to line up is pop that out and leave the negative in there, and then, and of course it's harder to line up when you've actually removed it from the thing. There we go. And see, I just pop that in a bit like a puzzle piece, and I can, these little bits here make it easy to line up. See this bit going in here, and this little bit going in here, and this little bit going in there. If you get them lined up, I can then shut the lid and pop this back in place. And it should should be perfectly lined up. We hope. Now, thank you very much, Trisha, for reminding. Was it Trisha who reminded me to use my powder tool? Thank you. Because I forgot the other day. It was even worse the other day because I was doing it on black. But today it's on white, so it's less of an issue, but I'm still using my powder tool. Now, I was just about to pull out my Versamarking pad, and if you were here the other day, I showed you how disgusting my Versamarking pad is. Yes, it's disgusting. And I said I don't use it if I'm embossing clear. I'm going to be embossing with white today, and the white is opaque, so I'm okay using the scungy old Versamark ink. So even though when I stamp it, you might actually see the stamped image, which usually it's very hard to see the stamped image when you ink up with Versamark, but you might actually be able to see it because this Versamark ink pad is just not good. Anyway. Just making sure I get a nice impression. And then I'm going to pull this out. Carefully trying not to touch the front. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. And okay, Kathy, why do I powder the paper prior to stamping? Because I'd been touching the paper and my fingerprints have, well, my fingers have oils on them, your natural oils in your skin. And if you don't put the anti-static powder, this powder that I'm about to add now will stick to your fingerprints, and you won't get a good image. You'll get your image where you actually stamped with the Versamark plus all your fingerprints. Also, ooh, that has not come out well at all. Not at all. So let's do that one more time. Okay, take two. Start all over again, because that I haven't got a very good stamped image. The embossing stuck, but it wasn't sticking where I thought it should have been sticking because it hadn't stamped very well. So it's a good thing I have another piece of cardstock ready to go. I will have to line up my stamp again, but that's okay. We can do that. Upside down from last time, but that's okay. I'm just going to give this a bit of a wipe over first, because if I place it incorrectly, I might make a mess with the remaining Versamark that's on it. Okay, so I'm just using my little scrubby tool. Alright, try again. So like right now I'm putting fingerprints all over that, and that's what I'm going to be stamping on, so this is what you get with live TV, folks, is things don't always go to plan, do they? And also, people have been doing this for literally decades still muck up. And that's okay. Alright, so again with the powder tool, and of course that wasn't even my problem. My problem was not powder sticking where it shouldn't. It was powder not sticking where it should. Oops, I've got a bit of icky on there. Try again. Oh, I'm sorry you have to go back to work, Kathy. Have I missed any other comments? Yeah, so with the embossing powder, it'll stick to lots of different things. It'll actually stick if you just flick water onto a piece of cardstock and then pour embossing powder over it. Alright, this time I am going to stamp twice because I don't want the same thing to happen. I'm also going to press, you won't be able to see, but it stamped quite well around the edges, like here, but it didn't stamp very well in the middle. So I'm just pressing particularly hard in the middle, and let's do that one more time. Oops. Put that back in the corner where it's meant to be. If this one doesn't work, I'm going to change tactics. I'm hoping I can actually see. You can usually tell, even with clear ink, you can actually see where it's actually making contact, because it sort of changes sort of the appearance of the stamp against the cardstock. Changes it. I can actually see I've got contact in the middle here, so that circle in the middle is actually going to have ink on it. Not that that matters, because, I mean, who cares? Where did my piece of cardstock go for my embossing? Alright. And I'm just having a quick look, and I can actually see, I don't think you'll be able to see on the screen, but I can actually see a little sort of greyish ink, very pale, but it is just about visible to me. So hopefully, second time lucky. And I just, see, you all come here for the disasters. I just picked up the container of embossing powder by the lid, and I hadn't put the lid on properly, so it sort of picked up and then dropped back down pretty quickly. Hey, there we go, perfect. Much better. Obviously I didn't put enough elbow grease into my first stamping impression, because yeah, the first one, no good, but that's okay. Alright, so let me put that away. That's the last I will need of the embossing. And now I'm trying to pick this up carefully so I don't actually touch the front, because I don't want to knock off any of my powder. Oh, thank you, Carol. It's a useful way of doing it, especially when you have to die cut before you stamp, because the die is a closed die. It's like got metal all around the back of it. Lots of dies nowadays are open dies, including lots of picket fence ones. But with something like this that has a cut edge along the outside and along the inside, yeah, the closed die is the best way of going about it. Alright, I'm going to try to be very careful here, because I've got enough scratches and nicks and cuts on my hands already. I don't want to burn my my fingers as well as that. So I'm hearing that people are having lots of extreme weather at the moment, because over in Perth in Australia they've got 40 degrees, that's Celsius, 40 degrees Celsius, which is, oh, what, 105, 110, I'm not quite sure exactly what that is. We've got a week of 30 plus days, so that's like in the 90s. Fahrenheit, and then everybody in Texas is freezing. And I mean, people up in Canada are doing it even colder. But I mean, Canada, they kind of expect it. Texas, not so much. So, yeah, I hope where you are either experiencing relatively comfortable weather, or if not, you have a relatively comfortable environment to be in. Alright, so I'm just going to put this die back. I will put the stamp back later because I haven't cleaned it yet. It's still sitting in my misty, but it can stay there for the time being. Alright, so I've got my die here. And what I'm going to do is grab some blending brushes. Oh, I don't want that one. What do I want? And it's funny because I actually prepared for this video in that on earlier on this week I was using these brushes for pigment inks. I was using Distress Oxides. And then I thought, right, the video later on in the week I'll be doing this one, which I had used the Catherine Puller inks, which are dye inks. You don't want to use your brushes that have been used with pigment inks or hybrid inks and then put them onto a dye ink pad, because you will transfer some of the pigment and you'll get contamination. I think it's okay to go from dye to pigment, but not to go from pigment to dye. So a lot of people, including me, actually have two sets of brushes, one for pigment and one for dye. But anyway, I wanted to use my Picket Fence ones, and I'd used them on pigments, and I was planning on using it on Catherine Puller. So I went and washed all of my brushes, ended up with very colourful hands as I was cleaning them. And then of course I changed my mind, and I'm going to be using the Hero Hues, which are pigment. So I didn't need to clean my brushes. But now I've got nice clean brushes anyway. So hooray for that. So I'm going to put these in my handy dandy little inkstand. So I have this Berry Smoothie is kind of a magenta-ish colour. Then Grape Slush is a really nice like true purple. Whoops, just touched the screen. Then a really nice bright mid blue splash, and then Blue Raspberry is a very blue green. So that's the colours I'm going to be using, and I'm going to use them on the background of the card as well with that stencil that I showed you earlier on. But with this wreath, I just want a mixture, and because the wreath is flowers, it's actually a whole lot of lilies, because lilies are one of Nicole's favourite flowers. She decided to make this lily wreath. I'm just going to put on this little mat, actually put it that way. Very old and used mat, but it's a non-stick mat that's really easy to clean up for ink blending. I think I'm going to concentrate on the pink and purple and maybe a little bit of the blue for this, and then I'll add some green to the background but not to the wreath. Alright, so let's just see. I don't want to add too much to start with, so I'm going to tap a lot of it off and just start gently. Tend to do things in threes tends to be a bit more pleasing to the eye. But also, actually, somebody was asking in another group this week about how they said, oh, people always talk about how they add things in triangles. Where there's a chat gone? It disappeared. There we go. Yeah, why do people always talk about adding 3 things in triangles? Because pretty much if you add any 3 things down randomly on a sheet, unless they're in a straight line, they're going to be in a triangle. But that's not what it's about. Adding things in a triangle in terms of like graphic design or art, it's about creating a visual triangle, which is all about basically directing the viewer's eye across your project, and usually it's about directing the eye towards the focal point. But yeah, it seems to be, I'm not quite sure if my comments have frozen. It's very odd. Anyway, it seems to be more pleasing to the eye for things to be in 3s or odd numbers. So not to be just in pairs or in regimented squares or anything like that. Alright, let's go for this blue. Brighten this up a little bit. Hey Nicole, did you hear your name? I was just talking about you, about how lilies are one of your favourite flowers. I'm just going to put a little bit of blue there. I know I just broke my rule of doing things in 3s. But yeah, these 3 were a little bit, they're all 3 of these blues are on one side, so I needed a little bit of blue on that side to balance it out. You're all in a trance, Lenny. Sure. Seeing me muck up my embossing and having to redo it, is that what puts you into a trance? You always come to see Michelle stuff up something, but by the end it's all okay, isn't it? And that's the main thing. Oh, geez, I went in a bit too heavy with that. Now I'm going to have to... Now, you can see... Just rub that off. Need to add some more purple. I did want to make it darker, but I didn't particularly want to make it that much darker. I was going in for a second round of the colours. What was I going to say? Now I've completely forgotten what I was going to say. Must have been a lie. Oh, yes. You can see how especially using a pigment ink, it's really covered up the embossing, the pink and the purple especially. The blue not so much, but if you go in and rub with just a dry cloth, it will brighten up that embossing because the embossing has resisted the ink. Now, white embossing powder will actually take up colour from some types of ink, so you've got to be aware of that. Yeah, exactly. And Tricia, I really should incorporate some more Fibonacci numbers into my card making, shouldn't I? Because Mother Nature loves Fibonacci sequences in plants, doesn't she? Alright, so I reckon that's... Actually, now that I've rubbed it off, I'm thinking I want to make it even darker. So, yeah, I'm going to go back in with a bit more. Because I want it to stand out from the background, and I haven't even done the background yet. Add some more. And some more blue. After I was saying, oh, I want to go in really lightly, and then just change my mind. Change my mind entirely. Alright. Hi, Denise. Fibonacci nerdery. If you didn't already know that I'm a complete science nerd, where have you been? Yeah, this pink seems to be having more fun attaching to this white embossing than the blue or the purple is, but that's okay. Alright, I bent that a little bit as I was trying to wipe it off, but again, that's okay. Why is my computer doing weird things to me? Alright, so that's that. Now, let's have a look at the background. So, as I said, I'm going to be using the Slimline Flowers and Polka Dots stencil. Okay, so I don't think I'll bother with pixie spray. I will stick it to the back. Excuse me as I just get my mint tape. Actually, what am I doing? Everybody who was here the other day knows that I have a stash of pre-loved mint tape sitting off to the side. This is one that I used in the other video on earlier this week. I've got all this mint tape sitting over there. Always gets used more than once. Okay, so that's there. Now, obviously you can see it's not covering the entire card, but as I show you the other one, you can see I only actually stenciled up to that point anyway, and I faded out at the top. So it doesn't matter that it doesn't go to the front, the top. What does matter is that I need it to fade out to the top. Now, as I said before, I used these three colours on the wreath, but I wanted to add this blue raspberry because I want that to... I think I'll put the blue raspberry at the bottom and then fade it out to pink at the top. It's very smoothie, I mean. Okay. Oh, you can have the inkstands in the shop. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. Yeah, so these inkstands come in various different sizes. So you can actually get one for the mini ink pads in like a 6 one. I've also got one that fits distress ink pads, and I also have one that fits like more standard ink size, like that kind of ink pad. They also do make one for Catherine Pooler style ink pads, I believe, like the oval ones. I don't have that one. But yeah, looking out in the Picket Fence shop sometime soon, they'll be coming. I'm not quite sure which ones you're going to have in there, Nicole, but that's exciting. That's exciting. Alright, now, what I'm going to do... And I did this the other day as well. If you were here when I did the rainbow hearts, I actually did the stencil. I'm going to have all of them. Nice. Nice. I did the rainbow hearts stencil, and I did it fairly solid amount of colour through the stencil. Then I removed the stencil and went over to give some colour to the background as well. So that's what I'm going to do here today as well. But of course, when I did that, what inks did I use the other day? I think I was using Distress Inks the other day. Yeah, alright, so now for the blue. And each colour that I add, I'm going to add slightly less pressure, so that I'm fading it out, but keeping in mind that I want the actual stenciling. Actually, I'm just going to add another piece of mint tape up here because I don't want to accidentally go off the edge. I know, and I don't have wild honey. I know, that's just ridiculous. How on earth could I possibly stencil over honeycomb without using wild honey? I mean, get your act together, Michelle. But yeah, as I said, I'm not afflicted with full set syndrome. These colours, these Hero Hues Reactive Inks, that's the only set of inks that I have the entire set of. And I have it in the minis. But yeah, no other ink line do I have full set. I know lots of people are afflicted with full set syndrome. Alright, now I'm going to go in with purple, but I'm going to go very lightly. Because you can see it does come out quite dark. I'm trying to blend with the blue a little bit. And then I'll do the pink at the top, very pale. Have I ordered it yet? No. No, I've got a couple of orders coming from a couple of different shops, but honestly, yellow is not a colour I use often enough for me to really want it in my stash, quite honestly. So I'm not that upset that I don't have it. Alright, I'm going super light with the pink. I want it to show, but only just. Alright, I need a bit more green at the bottom, I think. Just because there's no green in the wreath. And I want it to be darker at the bottom. And some more green, and we can always use some more blue. I mean, when on earth do I not add more blue? Never. Always with the blue. Okay, so now just going to remove that and remove this. Nice. And now just put these back over in my little masking tape stash. See, and looking at it now, I'm like, oh, I should have put just a little bit of like really pale orange at the top or yellow at the top. Okay, so still with the same brushes, I don't even think I'm going to re-ink my brushes. I'm just going to go with what's on the brush already and just see how it goes. I might need to add more, but I might not. Yeah, I'm going to add some more of that one. Just going to turn that around. Just pale. Yeah, these Hero Hues are really good. They are reactive inks. There are two different types of Hero Hues. These are the reactive. So if I was to splatter water onto it, I would get lovely splash marks. So they're very versatile. And I love inks that you can do multiple things with. So if you've got a yellow club, yeah, sorry. I'll have a Michelle blue club all by myself. Thank you very much. Brienne, we've been talking about you. All good, because look, and Nicole told us some exciting news that she's going to have your inkstands in the Picket Fence shop soon. Super exciting. Super exciting. Okay, this purple is, yeah, you've got to be very careful. I always find I've got to be careful with purple. It always comes out darker than I expect. Now, with the pink, I need to be super duper careful, because you know what happened with the pink on the wreath. I need it to be super light at the top. Super, super light at the top. I'm even going to add just the teeniest bit more purple. Teensiest, but more purple. I know, Trisha, international mail. I've been getting the last week some Christmas cards that were sent from, I got one from Berlin, Germany. I got one from Ottawa in Canada. And I got a couple from various different places in America. And a couple of them were posted like a day before Christmas, like Christmas Eve, literally. But some of them were posted in November. November! I mean... And I've had people... I posted my international Christmas cards. And, yeah, one of them arrived yesterday. And I posted them in November. So... And the worst thing is, I only have 5 international stamps left. I usually have a stash of, like, just postage stamps just sitting up on my desk here. I only have 5 left, so I got onto the Australia Post website, and they're out of stock of international stamps. What on earth? The Australia Post website is out of stock of international stamps. How does that even happen? I mean... Oh, my video paused for a second and gave me a... So while I'm here, I'm just going to gently wipe over. And because these are pink inks, they come off quite easily. I'm just being gentle because as Nicole... I know, exactly, Nicole. How do they run out of stamps? It's just ridiculous. Excuse me while I have a drink. I know, yes, Trisha, I've done it. I don't have that many stamps. So, yeah, I'm a bit stuck. Okay, so that's going to go there. Now, I need a sentiment. So, last one I used was thank you for all the little things. I think I might use friends make the world beautiful, or maybe you make my day special. I think friends make the world beautiful, because they do. Now, which one is it? Oops, that wasn't what I wanted to do. They seem to be stuck together. Oops, I've got messages coming through. Okay, so that's You Are My Inspiration, so they should be in order. Let's just check. Yes, friends make the world beautiful. Now, I am going to do this on black. And, of course, now I'm going to need to clean off these stamps and put it away because I'm going to be using my Misty again. Okay, sorry, I'm missing some comments here because things keep covering up my screen. Pop-up things. I have a lot of technical problems on this Facebook Live with Picket fans. I heard Facebook is a problem. Yeah, this one, I mean, usually it's okay for me, but today it seems to be dropping out a little bit more than normal. Alright, so I am going to do what I did before. I'm going to die cut it first and then stamp. The reason I do this with this, because you might be going, hey Michelle, that has an opening, you should be able to line it up after you've stamped. This is true. However, I find with long thin stamps, if you lay them down, they might accidentally lay down a little bit crooked, and then when you go to die cut them, they'll die cut crooked. But if you die cut first, and then you can line it up perfectly onto the die cut, and you'll be happy. So again, I'm going over to my die cutting machine. As I said before, none of this is done in advance. There's no here's one I prepared earlier thing. Well, there's the pink and orange one that I did, but that doesn't count. Okay, yeah, Trisha, I absolutely will not forget the powder tool because I'm doing it on black. And we know what happens when you try to emboss, especially on black with white. It's not good. Alright, so I'm going to do the same as I did before. I'm going to pull out my die carefully and make sure it's stuck in the corner. There we go. Stick the stamp down, put the die cut back in, add my anti-static powder tool, and at this point, if you've not used anti-static powder before, you might be going, ah, you've just ruined it, because I put white all over my gorgeous black cardstock. Never fear, I haven't ruined it, because it'll wipe right off after I do the embossing. Okay, so again with my dirty scungy old Versamark ink pad, but as I said, it won't matter, you won't be able to see. Is it freezing for anyone else? Yeah, we were talking about this before, Brianne. Australia is stinking hot. I mean, Perth has got 40 degrees plus, which is over 100 in your money. And then you guys, I mean, Texas doesn't know what's hit it again. Same as last year. I hope the government in Texas has done something about fixing the infrastructure that caused all those problems last year. Now, one thing that is really good about embossing onto black, remember when I did the first impression of that wreath and it didn't stamp well, but I didn't figure that out until after I'd put the embossing powder on and it didn't stick, so I had to do it again. On black, because I've used that powder, I can see exactly where it's stamped and it has stamped perfectly, so I don't need to stamp again because I know my powder will stick to it quite well because it's clear. And I don't need to rush because it's Versamark, it will stay wet for a little bit longer. Okay. With my very high-tech tool for doing adding embossing powder. I'm just going to pop this out gently. Tip my embossing powder on gently. Oh, what did I do? I just put my embossing tub away without actually tipping the leftovers back in. So, yeah, I'll forget my head next. I'm I'm just trying to pick this up by the edges so I don't knock any of the embossing powder. Sorry for the noise of the heat tool. Let me just, once I've finished embossing this, I'm just going to switch my internet and see if that makes a difference. Hold on. Stay tuned and see if I can make a difference. See, it's already 5G. It's on the best one from my end, so I think I'll just have to leave. I think it's a Facebook issue rather than a my internet issue. Because I've got 5 bars on my Wi-Fi, it seems to be okay. Alright, so there we go, and what I'm going to do is pop this up onto some foam adhesive. Yeah, I wish I could fix it. I wish there was like a magic button I could press to say, yay, the internet's going to be fabulous during your life, but unfortunately Facebook is its own thing and does its own thing. Okay, I'm gonna just add a few more here and there to make sure it's not going to sag too much. Hopefully, if people watch the replay, it might not be freezing all the time. Okay, now I'm going to need the little bitty ones. I'm going to have to cut down the itty bitty ones to put behind the sentiment, because what I'm going to do, so the wreath will be popped up, the sentiment's going to be on the top like that. Some teeny tiny bits. Tiny bits of this is so fine. I mean, it's one of the reasons I really like these fancy sentiments, because the dies that cut them out cut them so close they don't cover up too much of your background. Because I mean, how many times have you made a card, you made a gorgeous background, and then you have to plonk a sentiment on the top, and it's like, oh, but it's covering up too much of my background. I hate that. So yeah, I mean, they don't cover up too much of your background, so it's good. Alright, let me get out some. I'm going to be using some liquid glue on the end bits here and here. I'll just pop that like that, and then that can go there. And I just need to pull off. Oops, I'll just put my little pin back in my glue, and I'll take off all of these little backing things. I think this is one of the reasons why I particularly like these foam dots, because there are some other brands that I get so frustrated trying to remove the backing tape off them, and these ones are not too bad. I mean, it still takes a while. I'm going to need another one there. I think I can actually put a whole one there. It's not going to show yet, not going to show, good. Just put them away, get rid of the bits and pieces. What's the time? 11:56. We're almost done. We're almost done. Oops, it's come loose. There. Now, the last thing I need to add, Facebook is pitching a fit. Oh no. Alright, I need some sequins. Now, on my original card, this one, I use sequins from Yellow and Orange Hearts and Flowers. So it's got some beautiful little white flowers and yellow flowers and little pink hearts, and it doesn't want to open for me. Come on. There we go. So I'm going to use some of the white flowers, and as I said before, my fingers aren't working because I've been cleaning out the washing machine and my fingers are all scratched. I'm going to use some of the white flowers, but I'm not going to be able to use the yellow flowers because that's just, hell no, that's just so wrong. So I've grabbed out a couple of other mixes. I'm wondering if the hearts might still... No, they're not the right shade. They're a bit too... Ah, and now I've lost it. It's stuck. Come out. Oh, you little... The pink is too close to red and not close enough to purple, so I'm not going to use that. What... I've pulled out all these different sequins. So this one is, I'm hoping this is still in the store. It's called Purple Rita. I didn't check in advance, I apologise. So if this one's not in the store, I do apologise. So there's some purple ones, little ones, and then a couple of the purple ones. And maybe one or two of the sheeny shiny ones. They're pretty. They're pretty. I like them. Come on, come off my finger. No, that's not one of the sheeny shiny ones. It's just a pale. Shiny. I don't know how to describe them. Like, they look like an oil slick. They're really pretty. Actually, I'm going to move that one over there. So we've got three different ones, and then move that flower over there, and one more little sheeny shiny. I know. After Monday, I'm going overboard on the sequins, aren't I? And I seem to be losing my voice right about now because I've been talking at the computer screen for over an hour now. Well, almost an hour now. Let's see, 11:59. I will be finished by at least, hopefully, 12 or 7 if you're in Central Time. Okay, let's do these sequins. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, oops, 6, oops, that didn't like it, try again, didn't like it still, stuck on my finger, there we go. Last one. And it's stuck on my finger again. Try again. Come on, come off my finger. Come off my finger. Is it stuck? No, I think it's just sitting there. Try again. I know, I count 10 as well, which is making me nervous. What did I do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I did 10 as well there. I've done 10 on this one as well. What do I want to do about that? I need... What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab one more little pair. Underneath, so it's like lining. So yes, so it's just peeking out, and now there's an odd number, so I feel better. All right, and that, my friends, is that. So I have now 2 cards with the beautiful Lilies Wreath. What was that called again? I can't remember the name of the actual stamp set. It is Lilies picture frame, not a wreath, a picture frame. Of course, this is actually made for, it's perfectly designed to make into a shape card, which I didn't, but yeah, if you do like that, makes a perfect shaker card with this die to go with it. So yeah, now today is the last of our 7 in 7 videos, I believe. We had 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th. So today is the last one. Keep in mind that Karen will be choosing winners from the comments on these videos. So not just this video, but all of the 7 in 7 live videos. So thank you for being here today, and yeah, putting up with me making mistakes and dropping things and sticking sequins to my fingers and all of that. You come here for the disaster show, really, don't you? I know. But thank you for being here and keeping me company while I made this card, and I hope to see you back again next month. Keep your eyes out for the announcement from Karen about the winners of the vouchers from these videos. Alright, bye everyone.